Okay. All right, everybody. We are here today with Steve Alexopoulos from Metro City Property Group in Ottawa. Really excited to have a chat with you today, man, and to hear about your journey and about, how you've become so successful. So welcome to our podcast.
Thanks, Pierre. Excited for this podcast for sure, man. It's been a long time, and I've known you for a while now, and I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we keep talking about it, but now we're finally going to do it. So let's just jump right in. Steve, listen, I want you to tell me a little bit about your story, how you got into real estate, and up to this point, that you're at right now. So give us a little bit of feedback on your history.
Yeah, so it's a pretty long story, but I'll kind of try and give you the Coles notes a little bit. It started, I was in university, went to Carleton University, took biology. Was working in the biology field. I was kind of like a chemist, call it, mixing chemicals. I realized that definitely wasn't for me. Didn't like, waking up at a certain time, finishing at a certain time, and, having to have lunch at a certain time as well. So I got into chemical sales after university. At the time, I was doing mixed martial arts. I was fighting professionally, so I had an income doing that as well. Realized that wasn't very sustainable or something I wanted to do forever either. And then, once I was in sales,
we got to back up. Hold on. Chemical sales. Yeah. Okay. You might want to be more specific on that. What kind of chemicals were you selling, man?
We're selling a lot of water treatment products to buildings. Yeah. We're also doing a lot of lubricants for, construction workers. And so it was a lot of door knocking. It was door to door, business to business sales. So I was knocking on doors cold. And, doing a quick warm up with them, doing a demonstration of the product, and then trying to close them within 1 hour because, these guys were really busy. So it wasn't very easy, but it definitely gave me what I needed to do, the kind of the skills I needed to build for real estate.
Awesome.
Then, so it's funny because I was training with Tarek, who's now my business partner and also my best friend. And we were lifting some weights in the basement, in his basement. And I remember him, he was in real estate. He had just gotten in. He was maybe in it for 2 or 3 years. And he got off the phone and he's like, I just made $10,000. And I go, no way you just made $10,000. Yeah. And, I was like, prove to me that you made $10,000. I'm like, show me a pay, in Wolf of Wall Street, he's like, show me a pay stub that you made this much money and this, so it was kind of similar to that. I'm like, show me how much money you made last month.
And I'll quit my job. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, I made like 25, 30 grand last month. I'm like, no way. I'm like, prove that to me and I quit my job tomorrow kind of thing. So he ended up showing it to me. He showed me one of his ETFs or whatever. Next day I applied, got my real estate license. So I was doing the chemical sales, which I was traveling every single week. I was going to Vancouver. I was going to Calgary. I was kind of the regional manager for the company. It was a big Fortune 500 company. And I was trying to do real estate at the same time for 6 months until the VP, he figured out that I was doing real estate as well because he went to Google my name to show the president of the whole company some of my MMA fights. And Keller Williams ended up coming up. Steve Alexopoulos, Keller Williams. So he gives me a call. He's like, man, that's a conflict of interest. You can't do both. You're working too hard doing this. You can't be selling real estate as well. Like you're in a pretty high position here.
Yeah.
So I had to make the decision. I was making good money at this other job and I decided to quit the other job and go full time into real estate, totally sink or swim. I didn't join a team, which to be honest with you, looking back, I probably would have joined a team for the first little bit. But it was definitely tough for the first, few months, but, really worked hard, obviously was focused on prospecting, FSBOs, expireds, you name it, door knocking. And I became rookie of the year at Keller Williams my first year. After that year, I partnered up with my first partner, Jack. And we had a small team. We had one admin, one buyer agent. We ended up hiring a second buyer agent, and we were the top gross partnership at Keller Williams for between 2015 and 2016 and 17.
Nice.
So that went pretty well.
Nice.
And then
and
the
then you
rest
moved
of my
on from
story,
that.
yeah.
And then you moved
I
on from that to
that. So Tarek and his business partner, they kind of split ways, and my business partner ended up moving to Miami to do some real estate there. So,
wow.
Tarek ended up coming up to me. We started talking. We're like, hey man, we should partner up, which is funny because, the conversation 3 or 4 years ago in the basement where I asked him, show me a pay stub. Obviously at that point I wasn't ready to partner up with him yet because he was already a huge producing agent. So I kind of had to prove myself and show that I could do it as well. And then, it was cool because we were friends, we were training partners. Then we became business partners, and we partnered up January of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. And it grew from there, man. And it's been
Has
fun.
it ever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it ever? I mean, when you look at your team now, right, maybe you can kind of give us the structure of your team, like how many agents you have. I know you've got a lot of moving parts there. So maybe explain to us what your team looks like today.
Yeah. So we got 3 administrative assistants. We have Sarah, our operations manager, who, she really focuses on the back end, and, she's kind of without her, man, she really helps us out big time. And she's been a pivotal part of our growth. Absolutely. And we have 3 inside sales agents, which we call business development advisors, because we want them to advise the client instead of just kind of selling them. So we also have about 14 agents. So myself, Tarek, and, all of us are about 14 agents right now. And we're doing just shy of about 400 transactions for the last couple of years. Yeah.
So absolutely killing it, right? So, all right. So for people out there that are looking, because, a lot of people are wondering, how do we start teams? How do we, what's the first hire? Then how do we scale it and everything else? Now, obviously you've done both. You had a smaller team prior to that. Now you have a bigger team with a partner, right? Because you and Tarek are partners in this. So, if you were a brand new agent, well, not a brand new agent, but let's say an agent that's doing a bunch of deals and now they're looking to scale, they're looking to get to that next level. What would you say is their first move that they would need? Like, let's say their first 3 moves that they would need to make, in order to, Yeah.
So, I mean, the first move is, I think you need to get busy enough where you need the help. You have to have a certain amount of listings, a certain amount of buyers. But, if you're really looking to build a team, you need to focus on the listings. So, I mean, you've heard it before, you got a list to exist. The more listings you have, the more control you have, and the more buyers you're going to bring, because obviously, listings attract buyers. So I would focus first on doing whatever it takes to get as many listings as possible through prospecting, maybe internet leads, cold calling, obviously your sphere, reaching out to your sphere, and obviously past clients. Yeah. So you really need to focus on that to generate listings, list to exist. Once you get busy enough with the listings and you have, enough listings that's generating enough buyers, the first hire I would make, and the first hire that I made, was an administrative assistant, because you want to be able to focus on income producing activities. And, putting the buyer paperwork and listing paperwork to the board is not an income generating activity. So you really want to focus on things that bring in the money. You want to be, you want to be on the field. You want to be generating listings. You want to be generating buyer clients. And you want to have somebody doing everything else so that you can focus 100% on that.
Mm-hmm. Money making activities, right? A activities instead of doing B and C activities, and delegate everything
100%.
else. That's good advice. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, getting listings and buyers is your highest and best use, and everything else, like installing lock boxes and installing signs and things of that nature, they're not income producing activities, and they're not your highest and best use. So you want to just, pass that off, and you want to leverage yourself as much as possible so that you can focus on the income producing activities.
I know when I hired my first assistant, my business the next year doubled, because I basically delegated everything I didn't want to do. And then, I was just way more productive. Right. So, so now you hire your first assistant, then what?
And I, just to add on that, I think it's about kind of getting rid of that fear, because everyone's afraid of, oh, now I have to pay 40, 50, 60, whatever $1,000 a year. And they're scared of that because it's going to come out of their pockets. But really, it's just going to 10x your business for sure.
Absolutely.
So you kind of got to get
Absolutely.
over that fear and just kind of take that leap of faith.
100%.
Also, it's going to force you to sell more too, right? The more money you're spending a lot of the time, if you don't produce, you're in deep trouble. So it's going to kind of change your mindset and get you in a more of an abundant mindset, right?
100%.
The third thing I would do is, I would get your first buyer agent. And, I used to think, and when we first started off, buyer agent meant, you're only doing buyer deals, but we've kind of shifted from that. And, 3 or 4 years ago, we shifted from that, and they do listings as well. So they're not just buyer agents, they're your actual partners. And, they're actually helping you get listings and buyers, because it's going to help with retention, and it's going to make your team grow faster and bigger. Don't have them this is my opinion. Don't just have them. And this is what's worked for me and worked for us, but I would have them doing everything: listings, buyers, investors. Because if they're more well-rounded and they're making more money, they're probably going to stay with you a lot longer. So you kind of got to look at the big picture as opposed to just what's going to make you more money in the short term.
Yep. No, I love it. All right. So that's good. All right. Now let's change gears a bit. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in real estate? I mean, how long you been doing this now?
8 or 9 years now. So I got licensed in 2013.
Yeah.
So
because we get crazy shit happening. Yeah. So there's been some crazy stuff that happens, right? So have you had anything crazy ever happen to you?
Oh man, there's probably hundreds of funny things that have happened to me or crazy things that have happened, but one that really sticks out, only because it was my first listing and first deal in Barrhaven, Ottawa. So it was literally the first day I got licensed. This is 2013. So I was on YouTube, how to generate listings. Right away, I was on listings. So I started door knocking, right? So I'm door knocking. I happened to come across somebody that had expired, about a week before. And keep in mind, this was like a buyer's market, 2013. It was the start of a buyer's market. I think the last year was 2012 of the seller's market. But in 2013, so I'm door knocking. I started talking to this guy. Yeah, my listing just, we just went off the market. We want to go back on the market. I gave my pitch, and he really liked me. So he told me to come in. So I said, okay, sure. I come into his place. I just made up kind of some BS listing presentation.
Just rolling with it.
Yeah, I just rolled, like literally first day I get my license. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I want to list my house with you today, like right now. So I'm like, uh-oh. I didn't have a listing package on me. I didn't have a listing kit, nothing. So I had no listing agreement on me. So I'm like, what do I do? Like, what am I going to get him to sign? So I said, hold tight. I said, I forgot something at the office. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Is that okay? And he said, yeah, sure. So I get in my car, kind of panicking. I don't even know how to write up a listing agreement, really.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get to the office, and I go to the first person I see that looked like they knew what they were doing. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm about to sign a listing. I don't even know how to do it. Can somebody help me out? So somebody sits down with me. They start, highlighting, this is where you get them to sign. This is, this is where you get them to initial. So I'm like, perfect. Grab the listing agreement, drive back to his house, go into his place, get the listing signed. And it ended up being my first listing and first deal. Wow. First day I got my license, and I didn't even have anything on me. Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess
you're in panic mode at that point, right? Because you're just trying to get everything done as fast as you can.
I was definitely panic mode, but I was kind of acting as if like I'd already done this 1,000 times. And I think that's what kind of really helped me at the beginning, is just kind of acting as if, and, made it seem like I was, just by the way I was talking to him, I guess he thought I'd been in the business for a while. The conversation never even came up. But I had to rush out of there and grab a listing kit.
So at that point you must have thought, man, this is going to be easier than I thought.
Yeah. Right? I did. And then I surely realized it's a little bit harder than that.
Oh yeah. All right. So that's a good one. All right. So what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in real estate?
Worst thing that's ever happened. Well,
Yeah.
I guess the way I'll answer that is a lot of bad things have obviously happened. In terms of people leaving, you get, for example, a BDA leaves or someone leaves or an agent leaves. And, but what I found is most of the time when something bad happens, over time, it gets replaced by something better. So,
Good one.
I don't want to say that, what's the worst thing that's happened, because maybe I'm lucky or, but every time something bad has happened, it ended up turning into, something that replaced it that was way better.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I know I'm putting a positive spin on this, but to be honest, I mean, it's kind of what's happened. If different partnerships or different, having somebody that comes on as inside sales that's even better than the person you once thought, or an admin that's better, or an agent that gets that replaces another agent that is better for the culture and produces more. So you just gotta, when something bad happens, you just gotta be prepared to do whatever you can and to make it better. And if you really believe that that's going to happen, it usually happens. And I mean, all the bad things that have happened have been replaced with good things. So
yeah. I guess it's one of the things when we're running teams, right? It's something that we constantly see, and a friend of mine, Al Stasek, that well as well. He referred to it as getting that Christmas present every year at Christmas, and I think one of the worst things that we do see when we're building teams is that we help some of these agents become very successful. They learn all the tricks of the trade, and then they get to a point where it's like, okay, I don't need you anymore, and they use this as a stepping stone to move on, right? So how do we find that happy medium where they want to stay with us and not keep leaving us, right? And that's the unfortunate thing about building teams, and anybody who's built a team will know that once they get to a certain point, they tend to move on, right? So unless you've got a strategy in place to be able to keep them there for a long period of time and give them enough value that they can stay, then that is definitely something that teams are going to run into all the time, right? So all right, let's okay, so if somebody's looking to scale their team, let's say there's somebody that already has a team of 2 or 3 agents, but now now they want to go to that next level, because we're all competitive, we all want to do more all the time, right? So and you did it, right? You went from having a smaller team to now having a huge team and doing massive production. What would you suggest somebody needs to do to scale to that next level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's about shifting your focus. So I mean, when you have a small team, I find, or you're a single agent, you're just fully transaction focused, which is okay. But when you want to kind of scale up and build a large team, you got to kind of shift your focus from just transactions to focusing on the people business. So focusing on the people more, because really it's the people that are going to make the business grow, not just you. If you think it's only you that's going to make the business grow, you're not going to grow very big. So by shifting the focus from the transaction business to the people business, and that's something that's very, very difficult to do, because, and to be honest, I haven't fully done it, but I'm at that 80% mark from transitioning from transaction business to people business, because once you make that shift, you got exponential growth, and the people that are on the team, that are people that are in the brokerage, are going to help that team grow, and it's just going to grow up exponentially fast. If you think you can do it alone, it ain't growing big. So, so just to answer the question quickly, focus on the people more as opposed to just the transactions.
You know what? That's great advice. And I look at our team now. We've got 30 some agents, but we've surrounded ourselves with amazing people, right? Like I got Brent sitting here watching me doing videos. He's a great marketing guy. He's a genius at what he does. And then, I've got somebody running my office just like you, like Sarah, that is, she really knows her stuff, and she's the best in the game, right? So, when we're picking people, we want to get those first round draft picks, right? We don't want to get, the people, and they're the ones that make us all better. And if we all work together real hard as a team, and we all have the same focus, and we tend to just do way better at the end of the day, and makes everybody's life a lot easier for sure. Yeah. So,
for sure.
All right. So now you talked about shifting, right? And you talked about growing, and now you've entered into a new chapter in growing even more, which I'm looking forward to seeing all the great things that are going to happen to you and your team. So you made this move to eXp Realty. Right. You looked at it for a long time, a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
We talked over 2 years ago, and it's been going back and forth, right? So, why now? And, where do you see your business going in the next 5 years? Because already I'm seeing some massive growth with you guys, right? So maybe talk to us a little bit the big move to EXP.
So you're asking why we made the move?
Yeah, why'd you make the move? Why'd you finally make the move after 2 years of looking at it? Why now?
Well, I'll start up by the first thing you said. Why after so much time? So, obviously you made the move, 2.5 years ago, and we were going to make the move, and I just think it comes down to really seeing it. And there's the quote, once you see it, you can't unsee it. But it's about really seeing it, and it's about having that real aha moment. And we didn't have it until about 2 years after you did, where we knew that this was the right move. Before we were pretty sure, but something clicked kind of out of nowhere. And it happened together with myself and Tarek, where we're like, this is the right move. And we're sure about it. And we just made the switch. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. I kind of wish we would have done it sooner, to be honest. But at the same time, I mean, it really comes down to the timing as well. The timing was 100% right when we did it. And it's just one of those things where, it's kind of maybe it's our destiny, right? Now, the second part of the question, why we did it, and it's kind of a two-pronged answer, is the first one is it's better for the agents. For example, when I was at other brokerages, Keller Williams, Remax, we were all top producing agents, and, we got a bunch of trophies. We got a bunch of medals. We weren't even trophies. They were plaques. We got plaques. Yeah. We got plaques with a little circle thing that, I never really even added into the plaque, which is great and all. But, over time, you just kind of stop caring about that stuff. And, you've won a bunch of awards now. You've become platinum this, platinum that, whatever. But they never gave me a dime. Okay.
No.
And that's the reality. So for the agents, they get their whole cap back once they become an icon agent. They're giving you cash, in the form of stock, which is unbelievable. So they're actually putting money back into your pocket. Those other brokerages never put money back into my pocket. And I really had to ask myself, and we all had to ask ourselves, like, what are they really doing for us, right? Other than giving us a logo that we could use, that we didn't even really use that much, right? So it's better for the agents in that regard. They're getting their whole cap back. There's other income. There's other methods of producing income, not just selling a property. Right. So it's giving people other options to make money, streams. Whether that's there's multiple streams of income, whether that's in the stocks, whether that's in recruitment. It's giving people other methods of generating income, which is huge. Right. Yeah. And not only that, it's not just the money, but it makes the business more exciting. I mean, I ended up getting kind of a second wave of motivation. I mean, listen, you get to a point, you keep selling, and you're just like, you're just waiting for the next home to sell. Is that really something you want to be doing forever? Or do you want to focus on other parts of the business, like coaching, recruitment? It really makes the business exciting again. And it kind of gave me kind of a breath of fresh air where, I was able to kind of realign myself again with my why. And, why am I doing this? And, getting out of bed and doing this job now is a heck of a lot more fun. And it's not just more fun because of the different streams. It's a lot more fun because of the people. I get to associate myself more with guys like you, guys like Al, and the people that we bring on. And it's becoming, a bigger family that's not just, our team now, right? Yeah. It's other teams. And instead of them competing against each other, now we're trying to help each other out. So it's
Working
kind of
together.
more of a family community. And I think that's one of the main reasons, better for the agents for the extra revenue streams. But as a team leader, I mean, I could keep going on about this, but I'll try not go on too long. It's a great retention tool, right? So you were talking about how, you'd have agents come on the team and they'd end up leaving the team because they wanted to go do their own thing. Well, if they want to go do their own thing and build a team and they're already part of EXP, guess what?
Yeah.
They realize that when you're building a big team, EXP is a way better model. So they're probably going to stick with EXP. They're probably going to recruit agents. And guess what? You guys are still a family, right? It's not like, a lot of the time somebody leaves your team and you leave on bad terms and you hate the guy and, oh my God, as if the guy left, I'm so mad at him. Listen, that's
now the difference is, now the difference is we're encouraging them, we're helping them, and we want them to grow. And now they get a piece of the pie, which changes everything. And you know what? That's an awesome answer. Anyways, listen, Steve, we're running out of time. I know I've taken up a lot of your time. I really appreciate you being here today. Absolutely awesome. If you guys want to reach out to Steve, the number and the link will be below that you can reach out to him, ask him all your questions about EXP, how to build a team. He's a great coach. He's a great mentor. He's doing huge things, and I can't wait to see what the next 12 months brings, because there's a lot of big things happening, and I can't wait. So thanks again, Steve, for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Pierre. Always a pleasure.